The last 20% of the EOC consists of series, sequences, and probabilities. So I've picked 5 questions, and a couple of them I picked are actually fairly difficult, so there might be ones you would actually possibly skip on the test just because of time. But the rest of them are very doable, and sometimes you can just kind of guess and check and find your answer. So our first question today is a career advisor tells me that a finance consultant that has $43,000 salary for the first year is going to get a 3% raise each year. If he takes a job, will be salary in the 35th year. So there's a formula that's for geometric. That's first term R n minus 1 on the formula sheet. So your first term is 43,000. Your n is 35. To find your r, though, you have to find another year. So you take 43,000 times 0.03, because that's 3%, so that's how much they're going to gain. You add that to your 43,000. That gives you 44,290. So to figure out the r, you take 44,290, divide it by 43,000, the original amount, so your r is 1.03. And really, whenever you're doing anything with percentages, you just always add 1 to make it grow. You put this in your calculator, and you will get answer C. Alright. Actually, the next question is probably the hardest one on the page. And for a sequence series question, it's probably the trickiest one. It might be one you even actually would skip and come back to if you have time. It says, he plans on saving earnings for 4 years so they can buy a used car as graduates. He receives $5 for the first week and then earns a 10-cent increase per week for 2 years. Then 15 cents increase per week for the last 2 years. So what's the total amount that he'll have at the end of 4 years? Well, anytime it says total, you're going to be doing a sigma. The problem with this is you have to do a sigma for the first 2 years, then you have to do a sigma for the second 2 years and add them together. Well, first off, 52 weeks in a year, it tells you, so 2 years would be 104. The first one is pretty simple. He makes $5 the first week, add n minus 1 times 10 cents, and that's going to give you his first bit, which is 1,055.60. So I'll type this in my calculator over here. The issue is what happens in the second year, the second part of this problem. So it's still 1 and 104, but now we got to figure out how much is he going to make the first day of that the third year. So to do that, the 104th day would be 5 plus 104 minus 1 times 10 cents, which is $15.30. But we want actually the next week. We have to add 15 cents because that's what his raise is going to be starting with the 105th week. So if you do that, you get $15.45 plus n minus 1 times 15 cents because he's making 15 cents. That gives you, when you put that in your calculator, a total of $34.65 and 80 cents. Now, that question is going to take longer than a minute to do, longer than 2 minutes to do. This could easily be one that you would need to take an answer and move on and come back to if you have time. If you don't have time, just pick it, an answer. Honestly, if you did number 2 and you did the same amount for the whole time, which would be 208, the whole 208, and you just did the first one, 5 plus x minus 1 times 10 cents. This is how much he's going to make if he just made 10 cents the whole time. Well, you know he's going to be making 15 cents. So it's got to be more than that answer. It's the only one that's really, this is a little bit more, but it's got to be quite a bit more. So that would be a way to maybe do an educated guess if you just did the 10 cents for the whole time. Number 3. The chart shows the local high school. Principal randomly selects one student to meet the governor. Let A be choosing a female and B choosing a 9th grader. What is B? This is called B given A. And what that means is all you're doing is looking at A. So A is female, so you add up all the females. And there are 330 females. And B is just the 9th grader of that group. So it would be the 80 9th graders. So 80 over 330. So A goes on bottom, which is females, all the females. And on top needs to be the 9th graders of that group, so the 80. Number 4 doesn't look too bad, but then the problem is that none of your sigmas start with 1, which is what we normally have. So first off, it's arithmetic, so I'm going to do 32 plus n minus 1 times 3, n equals 1. But you have to figure out what term is that 101. So to do that, I put it in my calculator, and I put it in y equals. And once I put it in y equals, there it is, I then hit second table. I'm trying to find the table for where 101 shows up. There it is. So it's the 24th term. So that's where the 24 comes from. I put that in my calculator and got 1596. So I did alpha window, and I typed in number 2, and I typed that in. I got 1596. I then went through and typed each of these in to see which one also gave me 1596. Because they don't start at 1. But you will notice this one starts at 11 and ends at 34, where this one starts at 1 and ends at 24. So they're pretty close, but if you type this one in, it does match 1596. And last but not least, we have a counting one. There's 10 students will participate in a spelling contest. How many outcomes for first, second, and third place? Well, you get first, second, and third place. Order matters, and order matters when it's a permutation. Please remember that 10 always has, the bigger number has to be first, and the smaller number second. So 10, 2, 3, if order didn't matter, it'd be a C. Put that in your calculator. Remember that is under the alpha window key number. I think it's like number 7 or 8 on your screen. You get 720. The answer is B. Now, there is a last code. There it is for your series and sequences. And then also, you have a video for all of those steps that we've done. I went through and worked out all the problems. So if you want to check them, any of them, or go through how to do them, they're all available. Write this code on your paper and then pull up your 6.